Good evening and welcome, everybody. We'll call the meeting of the Village of Campton Hills to order. It's December 2nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. The clocks don't work in here. So roll call, please.
Trustee Benetti?
Here.
Trustee Boatner?
Here.
Trustee Burson?
Here.
Trustee Hassenberger? Absent. Trustee Millette?
Present.
Trustee Muir?
Here.
President Woniecki?
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief Levand, would you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beautiful. Okay. Anybody have a public comment that they'd like to make? They fill out a form?
No one.
Okay, no public comments. And we'll move on to the police section, and Chief Levand.
Thank you. We sort of fell behind in recognition of our officers of the month. So as you can see, there's quite a few on there. Officer Harvey, she's been sick for 2 days, so she won't be present tonight, so that will save one of them. So we have 3 to do. I'll give Officer Harvey her plaque and gift when I see her this week. The first one that is being recognized is Officer Stavrula Sina, also known as Stavi. Once again, she's been the recipient of countless emails and phone calls of recognition from residents, including many for her involvement in all the community programs. She continues to do the child seat inspections and installations at times convenient for residents, and she hosts special events on weekends so residents are able to come and take advantage of that. She volunteered to take over the drug take-back program from me, which was super beneficial, and then she holds special events each year for the drug take-back program, including with the DEA. Recently did one with Senator DeWitt's office. She takes on a lot of extra responsibility. Anytime the police department asks us something, she's always willing to step up. She became the liaison, took the role from me, which I'm thankful for, with our Community Relations Committee, who holds meetings every month. She did a lot of work in planning into our first ever Boo After Dark event, which was a huge success. She's very dedicated and always willing to help the department and community, and she's also a member of the community, which makes a big difference. So for July Officer of the Month, I'd like to recognize Stavi.
Speech.
All right, I'm going to move on to August Officer of the Month, which is Officer Julie Ramirez. She was recognized specifically for one incident where a family that lives off by Anderson Park, they lost their family dog. So I will speak from experience. My dog isn't my dog. I like him more than most of my family, which is Coda. So it is a big deal when a family loses their pet. So she searched at night for over an hour through the woods by Anderson Park, and they were actually able to locate the pet that was actually stuck in the woods. So the family was very appreciative of it. They sent me a nice card, email, and a family photo with them and their dog in it. So they couldn't say enough good words about Julie and the extra effort that she put in. She's also volunteered to be our department liaison for the Kane County Collaborative Diversion Program, and she attends monthly meetings for them. And she was also recognized by them for her efforts in the program and featured in one of their newsletters. So for August Officer of the Month, I'd like to recognize Officer Julie Ramirez.
Do Stavi too?
No.
No? Okay.
That's all right. She's been here and done this before, so. And finally, for September Officer of the Month, would like to recognize Officer Ken Foote. Since joining the department, Officer Foote has been an asset to the department and community. His extensive law enforcement experience and knowledge is an asset to our agency. He's always willing to share his experience assisting fellow officers and mentoring the newer officers. He assisted the department since arriving with forms, procedures, and ordinances, some that were outdated or not proper. Officer Foote is very thorough and does excellent work. He's always willing to assist with shift coverage and any other department needs. Anytime there is a need in the department, Officer Foote is always willing to step up. Officer Foote is also extremely proactive with his traffic enforcement, including violations, DUI enforcement, and administrative tows, which is extremely important to the safety of the community. So for September Officer of the Month, I'd like to recognize Officer Ken Foote.
Nice.
Chief, I've never seen Ken smile like that. I almost didn't recognize him.
Yeah. How about Jean Harvey? We gonna wait, or
He said
She's
that.
not here, she's sick, but sure, I can
are we?
give my thing for Jean here. So Officer Jean Harvey was recognized as the October Officer of the Month. Unfortunately, she's been sick the last couple days and couldn't attend. She wears many hats in the department and always willing to help with anything asked of her. She's very active in all our community programs and events throughout the year. She's our training coordinator for the police department, including managing our frontline training program, which records all department training and maintains all our records. She makes sure all officers are compliant with iLetsB, CourtSmart, NEMR, and all our training portals. Officer Harvey is a certified instructor in many areas, including CPR and AED, which she not only teaches the police department staff each year, she teaches our volunteer members, and she also teaches village administration members CPR and AED. She's very active in our school program. She teaches Too Good for Drugs at both Belgraham and Wasco. She serves as the department coordinator with the CERT program and now the new VIPS program, which is currently being implemented. She's a big asset to the program. She does a lot. Unfortunately, she just couldn't be here tonight to accept her recognition.
Yeah. Clap for Jean. All right, thank you, Chief Levand. We'll move on to the public hearing for the 2025 Comprehensive Plan, and I'll give the floor to James Brown. A motion to,
So
a motion
moved.
to open. Janet, second. Second by Frank. Roll call.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Heffelberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Okay.
Aye.
James, we're going to give it to Carmen for
Sure.
now.
Good.
And just in case anyone cares to speak at the public hearing tonight, could you please raise your right hand, and I will swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Okay, James.
We had a workshop on September 9th, and there were actually numerous suggestions for change. A lot of those were related, and I made the changes, I think consistent with the suggestions. They were highlighted in red in the version that was online. I inadvertently printed out a version without the red in my, so I'm holding that here tonight, so I hope I can follow along. I can go through each of these. It's actually about a 2 or 3 page list. But let me just try and summarize this without going into too much depth. There was some potential desire to change, revise the plan concerning potential development and future land use map. For example, development pressures versus farmland protection, encouraging agribusiness. So a new strategy, B12 was added, that's on page 67. A new goal, D4 was added on page 80. There's a revised discussion of Route 47 on page 124. New land use strategy was added on page 134 as well. There's a suggestion to expand the conservation design concepts to include non-residential uses such as light industrial. That was done. The discussion of conservation design was amended. That's on page 119 to 120. Revised land use strategy 2 on page 127, and a new land use strategy on page 134. It's strategy 8. Suggestion to encourage senior housing, senior living arrangements. There was a revised discussion of institutional land uses on page 121. How can we encourage low-impact development on both sides of Plato? That was addressed in a revised land use strategy on page 4. Strategy 4 on page 130. And then there was various suggestions on what to do with the area around Kendall and Dittman, McDonald Road, Route 47. Again, revised discussions on page 124, the new land use strategy on page 8. And concerning water, water constraints and future development, again, a revised land use strategy on page 130, a new land use strategy on page 134, discussion of warehouses along Route 47. That was one thing that we discussed, and that concept was included in a revised discussion of the conservation design and the new land use strategies I mentioned, land use strategy 8 and land use strategy 4, page 130 and 134. Concerning water and open space, suggestion that we continue to work closely with Kane County Forest Preserve. That land use goal 4 on page 125 was revised to reflect that. Continue to work closely with Campton Township. That was included in the same land use goal. Establish outreach to Burlington, Plato Township over open space. There's a new land use strategy, B11 on page 67, and the new land use goal 4 on page 125. There's another question regarding water protection district. I didn't really address that in any revisions, but that is addressed in the stormwater management plan. So it's, which is attached as Appendix B to the plan. Again, establish outreach with Burlington, Plato Township regarding water and open space. That was in a new land use strategy on page 134. And then various suggestions that we cooperate with regional entities. And there's just actually many references to cooperation throughout the plan on that. And there's also a suggestion that I add horses, photos of horses. I did that. There were 2 photos of horses inserted on page 19 and 135. And then in my most recent version, which was not posted online, I was working on that, I did add some recent photos of fall color. That was out over the last month. So some minor formatting changes, mostly with font that was inconsistent, and adding a couple photos. So.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to public comment regarding the public hearing to the draft update of the 2025 comprehensive plan. Does anybody have a public comment regarding the plan that James Brown just talked about? Patsy, come on up. I think the microphone's on. No? No, maybe not.
Now is it on? Yeah. I just wanted to make a few comments. First, I wanted to publicly thank the Plan Commission and Jim Brown for their work, having gone through this process. It's very time-consuming, and I think they've done a really good job. And I appreciate that they have tried to keep the essence of what we wanted when we started the village, which was semi-rural in nature, looking to protect our natural resources, and trying to make wise decisions related to commercial and development. And I just want to thank the board and for their consideration of the comp plan, and hope that you'll be able to approve something. And I'm grateful that you're doing these things to keep us current. Thank you.
Thank you, Patsy. Any other public comments regarding the comp plan? Okay. This is our
Christina Larson.
comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Janet, second
Second.
by Kim. Roll call.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay, and then I'll accept a motion to approve ordinance 25-26, adopting the Village of Campton Hills Comprehensive Plan 2025.
So move.
Moved by Mike Millet.
Second.
Second by Janet. Roll call.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? Yeah, good.
Great work,
Yeah, definitely.
everything Patsy said.
Yep.
Barbara, just real quick.
Yeah, Treese?
There's just one typo in the beginning. And it's on the, one of the first pages, but it's on page 6. The word comprehensive in like the second section, I think. It's right up front, so I thought we should fix that one.
As I said, I did a final scrub last week.
Oh,
I made
okay,
a
that's
final
not in this one. Okay, okay.
Page 6?
Yep,
If I didn't make that, thank you.
sure.
Okay, any other comments or corrections on spelling?
No corrections, other than thank you for all the hard work,
Okay,
planning, zoning, and Jim.
all right. All right, Janet?
Agreed, thank
Go
you.
ahead. No. All right, roll call.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Awesome. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none. Janet?
Items E and F.
E and F? Okay,
Yes, E and F.
Okay, any other items to remove from the consent agenda? Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5E and 5F.
So moved.
Moved by Frank,
Second.
second by Treese, and roll call.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Janet, do you want to take the floor?
I have some concern about the terms that I'm seeing here. So, this is a combined board, which I don't think is a good idea, and I made it very clear at the special meeting in December of last year that I thought that the creation of this body was ill-advised, politically motivated, and just a generally bad idea. I was, well, moving on. I don't understand the terms here. So people are appointed to the ZBA for terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 years. And it appears that statute unfortunately then prescribes 5-year renewal terms. And the unfortunate result of 5-year renewal terms is that the initial staggering becomes clustered. So if the idea was to always have a 1-year seat, every year you reappointed someone to a 1-year seat, and every 2 years you reappointed someone to a 2-year seat, and every 3 years you reappointed someone to a 3-year seat, that would make sense to me. How it could be that you could start, because we, as far as I'm aware, illegally reset the clock to a year ago and have people appointed through 1 to 7 years. And so
apparently there's an opinion that says from now forward, everybody should get a 5-year term. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. If that's statute, then it is, but it doesn't make any sense at all. And if it's something that we could change within our code, we obviously should, because if every single person gets appointed to a 5-year term, you don't have staggering anymore. That aside, we have the specific, apparently technical error that one person is getting appointed to a term to expire in a year from now, and another in 5 years. So, or 4 years, actually. So I'd like some explanation for these terms, because so there's two things that can, one of two things can be true. One can be that there are in fact staggered 1 through 7-year terms that never change. Another one is that every person, when they're renewed, gets a 5-year term. But in either one of those cases, this motion is in error. These two motions are in error.
So the appointment of Rolf Frederick is for the chair position, which is a 1-year term. That's approved every year and renewed every year. So that's why it starts today and ends on the 2nd of December of 2026. The reappointment of Commissioner Lorario, so when all the members were initially appointed, they were to different numbers of years, 1 through 7. So
And he was appointed to a 1-year term.
right, so the reappointment year should be to the term of office that's in the village code, which should be 5 years. So that you're correct, it would be a 5-year term. So if somebody had a 2-year term when they were first appointment, when their appointment comes back up, they would be appointed to a 5-year term, which would keep the staggering moving along.
In that case.
So this is an error. Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
So it should be a 5-year term.
Okay. So we can't fix it tonight because our code is what it is, but by reappointing every member to a 5-year term, as I said initially, you lose the staggering.
No, because when they were initially appointed, there were 7 members. One person got a 1-year term, one person got a 2-year term, one person got a 3-year term through 7.
And mathematically, if you follow that along, you will lose the staggering.
I might be missing it. I think if everyone is appointed, so if in year 1, after the commission was created, one person's reappointed. In year 2, one person would be reappointed. And every year, you'd have one person who would be reappointed to a 5-year term. They would continue with, after they're all reappointed, after the 7 years are up, you would still have one person every year.
Well, and then you get two people would be in year 6 and 2 people would be in year 7.
Right.
Which is where the clustering starts.
Well,
And then it will continue as you go along, and until eventually you've lost the coherence of the staggering plan. No, you
I
will.
will
If you
admit
do
that
the math, I guarantee you will.
I will admit that I'm not an expert at math. So I might be missing the way I'm following along, but the way that the statute requires is that when they're initially appointed, it is 1 through 7-year terms.
The problem is that you start with a 7-year stagger, which you collapse into a 5-year stagger effectively. Right, that's the problem.
So the issue that you would want to avoid is having the majority or all of the members reappointed at the same time. So as long as there is more than the majority of the members that are being reappointed in different years, then you follow the statute in the first aspect of the original appointment of the members, but you prevent an administration, any future administration from coming along and being able to reappoint the majority of a board at one single time.
You mean as what happened during the second meeting in December, the special meeting at 10 a.m. in the morning of December last year, in which all of the members were reappointed? So absent a maneuver such as that, where someone takes a heavy hand and completely disbands the entire Planning and Zoning Commission and creates a brand-new one. Absent that, you would have reasonable staggering.
The way that the code is written and the statute requires or allows, then yes, you'd have reasonable staggering. But a commission can be dissolved and a different commission can be created under statute. It's not a violation of a due process right to a remainder of a person's term.
It was a complete violation of the political process, as I made clear last year. Which is why I voted against Commissioner Lorario last year. Not because of anything having to do with him. I voted against everyone who was appointed inappropriately at that weird 10 a.m. in the morning meeting that was held seemingly in an attempt to make sure that this happened no matter what. That's why I voted no last year. So I'm continue to marvel at the machinations of this process.
Okay, Kim, go ahead.
Our village attorney pointed it out for me, that the chairs are a one-year term. That's across the commissions and the boards, correct?
Correct.
All right. That's all I wanted to point out, is that Commissioner Frederick, that's an appropriate reappointment.
And I don't know off the top of my head when his term is up, but when his term is up as a member, he'd get another 5-year term if he sought to continue to serve. Right.
Okay, any other comments on 5E? Okay, do I have a motion to approve 5E?
So motion.
Moved by Kim. Do I have a second by Therese? Roll call.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And a motion for 5F? Do we
So
have a
moved.
motion? Moved by Therese. Do I have a second? For Andro?
I'll second.
Second by Kim.
Dude.
Any discussion?
So
Any other
clarification is, the term is wrong?
That was my mistake. I was reading the date on E when talking about Lorario's term.
Okay.
It should be a 5-year.
5-year,
Yeah,
and
so
it's
that's right.
2025, so 2030, okay.
Right. I said I'm not
I
good at
used
math.
my fingers.
Thank you. I don't do math.
Okay, we're all good then? All right, roll call.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Nay.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, very good. We'll move on to staff reports, and Chief Levand, once again.
All right, I'll try to make this quick. So just a reminder, this Saturday, 3 to 6 here at the Village Hall is the annual Holiday in the Hills event. Hot chocolate, pastry, s'mores, a live band, Thompson Middle School Choir, activities for the children, wagon rides, tree lighting ceremony, and of course, a visit from Santa Claus and the Grinch. Coda will be at the event. He'll be visiting, and he'll also be providing Santa his Christmas wish list. So if anyone wants to buy him any gifts, that's the time to come listen to it. I want to thank the Community Relations Committee and Stavi for all their hard work and time putting it together. I also like to thank them for their time this past Saturday, despite poor weather, to come out and decorate the Village Hall and that to get ready. So they did a great job as always.
Beautiful.
Just one other quick thing, I just want to run past the board here, so, because I would like to do this in the grant thing. So we have 2 grants that are currently ready to go here, and Christina can push them out tomorrow. The 2 grants are the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Grant, which is provided through the U.S. Department of Justice. It's a 50%. So we've already paid for these bulletproof vests, and then they'll reimburse you 50% for it, so there's no additional cost to us coming out of it. So before I put that through, I want to bring that to the attention of the board in case there's any issues, but there is no cost. We paid for this. It actually opens up typically the beginning of the year, but because of the federal government and everything been going on, it's been pushed way back. It literally just opened this week, and it closes in 3 weeks. Small communities are the ones that are pretty much guaranteed the money for it, for the reimbursement. Again, it's 50%, So if you take our bulletproof vest from 24 and 25, it's roughly like $3,600 that they'll reimburse the village their 50% match. And then the other second one real fast is the one we were approved for last year. Let'sbe opened up the body cam grant, which would be for 2026. So we were already awarded the one for this budget year for 25. So that would be for all our body cams, our squad cams, all data and storage would be for the budget year 2026. And then that amount would come out to $28,328.45. Obviously, I believe we have a strong chance in getting it. They pretty much dispense it out to most agencies without question. It's all ready to go, the paperwork's ready to go. There's zero on the village's end. We submit it, hopefully we get it, and that's just a reimbursement for us, because we're gonna have to pay for that either way. So those are just the two. I just wanted to make sure the board didn't have any issues with it, and if they don't, I will have Christina send them both in the morning.
Okay, any questions for Chief? All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief Levand. We'll move on to action items. 7A, motion to approve ordinance 25-38, amending the Village of Campton Hills Village Code regarding building permits. I'll accept a motion on that.
So moved.
Kim moved. Second, Treese. Discussion? Any discussion on that?
If I may, just one comment. Again, like I said the last time when we were discussing this in our last meeting, people should really think about really charging their electric vehicles in an attached garage to their house. Just saying.
In an attached garage to their house.
Yeah, if it's really attached. Because if the car goes up, your house is going up.
Oh, okay. Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll have a roll, oh, are we gonna have Seth on there? Is he gonna come up at all?
He's on the
Down,
code update
okay,
discussion.
okay. Roll call?
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We'll get to 7B. Motion to approve ordinance 25 to approve the preliminary planned unit development PUD for LaFox of Campton Hills totaling 962 acres, located north of Kesslinger Road and south of Illinois Route 38, between Harley Road and Brundage Road.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Janet, second by Frank, and discussion. Kim?
Okay. My first beef is, it's not a beef with the PUD really, other than the traffic study. One thing I'd like to see changed in that is all the references to the city of St. Charles.
Oh, okay.
We are not the city of St. Charles. I'm pretty certain it's just because they played the zip code,
It-
right?
probably.
But I'm pretty certain I think Shodine, Dave, that you talked to them about that and they just really never updated it. So I would like to see that updated. I'm a cheerleader for this village, and I'm to the point where I've changed just about everything I can to the village of Campton Hills, okay? So when I see something like this, a traffic study of things that we've already annexed in the city of St. Charles, it's like, seriously? So I just wanted to point that out, and I think I even talked to the village clerk about it. The other thing I would like to see, in addition to that, on the final PUD, when we're talking about truck traffic, heavy truck traffic, so gravel, everything that's heavy, that it remains on Route 38 or Kesslinger. It doesn't come through town, through LaFox Road. I've been seeing an awful lot of semis running down LaFox Road, and I guarantee most of those are probably overweight for that road. Serving as much as I have on Public Works, I'm really concerned about our roads, so I want to make sure that we're adhering to weight. So I just kind of want to make sure that we don't have, say, a gravel truck or something coming in that's overweight for the road limit, that's coming off of Randall, going down Balcom, picking up LaFox and running down. I'd rather see them going down Randall, 38, Peck Road to Keslinger and coming in wherever they need to come in. So I'd kind of like to see that in the final. And I think that's about all I have, other than I'm really not happy about the city of St. Charles.
Okay. Chief Levand, go ahead. I know where you're going.
As much as I'm for reducing truck traffic on our roads, we've done it here, Brown Road, roads that, heavy commercial trucks should not be traveling on, we are not gonna be able to do that restriction. First, LaFox Road, you gotta remember, you have county roads, you have state roads. The state's very clear in the weight that you can take on a truck. We have no right legally to tell a tractor trailer, whoever it may be, a gravel hauler, that they cannot use LaFox Road, they cannot use Kesslinger Road, any of those are county roads, those are state roads. So the most we could do on the police department if it's in our jurisdiction, we can enforce overweight. Again, the reputable construction companies out there that do this for a living, not very often do you get a lot of them being extremely overweight on it. Concrete companies, you do run into that every so often, and that's not a great deal, but as great as it would be, there's the push, you just would not be able to restrict that on county roads, and you wouldn't be able to make it just on the legal end, the police end, and I'm sure Attorney Forte could probably comment on this a little more. Like, I don't think we can stick that in there to be telling commercial trucks where they can and can't go if they're following the law on county and state roads.
But we can request it of the developer to use his good offices and set in contracts to not use LaFox to try to put the bulk of their road.
Good faith and hope they, right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, that was all I was getting at, just to kind of reduce that. I know that the police department really can't enforce that on state roads, but I'd really like to see if we can be a little kinder to the roads that we might have to, especially if Little Fox, south of the new connection for Bunker, where we've got to maintain that road. I'd just kind of like to see us, if it's possible.
Oh, we could weight post
Mike,
it.
go
Once it's
ahead.
our road, we can weight post it.
Yeah.
So we've had some just preliminary discussions on that aspect, or on that issue. There will likely be more discussions, and not just with the village and the village engineer, but with KDOT too, as to, what entrances can be created to the property during development. There will be things that will be out of the village's hands, other agencies that will control that, but that's certainly something that can be discussed.
I think Therese was next, Janet.
So on number 19 of the conditions, at the bottom, it says, "The village shall have no obligation to perform or finance such maintenance except through the SSA, comma, should it be activated." I think those 4 words should be eliminated, because it makes it sound like if for some reason we don't activate the SSA, we do have an obligation to perform. That should just be taken out, I believe.
So I believe that discusses the backup SSA.
Okay,
For the
it
HOA,
does?
for the open space for the backup SSA for the,
So this is only the backup SSA that we're
this
talking about there?
specific section
Okay.
refers to the HOA responsibilities and the creation of a backup SSA in case the HOA does not follow through. And that would be the proper mechanism for it. The SSA would be activated, the village would be performing the maintenance, would be paying for the maintenance, but it would be coming through funds that were levied through the SSA.
Okay, so you don't think it could be read the wrong way there?
I think because the paragraph before, or I'm sorry, the sentence before talks about a backup mechanism.
Okay,
So if the SSA is activated as a backup, then that's when the village would, would be obligated to perform the maintenance. I mean, we'd want to perform the maintenance if the HOA is not doing it. And we'd want it to be
Well,
clear
but is
that,
the finance word in there though too, so would we be financially responsible if for some reason we did not activate the SSA?
well, to finance it through the SSA. So it wouldn't come from the general fund. And that's why it's written that way, that, you know, the village doesn't have any obligation to pay for it through the general fund or through any other expenditure of the village. It would
Okay.
only be through funds levied.
As long as
on
you're good with
properties.
it, I'm good with it. And then I had another comment to make that we talked about earlier in an email around. We just approved our comp plan, which has a affordable housing, element to it. And I just wanted to have a brief discussion about that because of the new subdivision that we're putting in. So we've had I've had some concerns. I understand that other trustees who've been around longer have had more conversations about this, but does anyone know what is the dollar amount of the housing that is included in that 2.4% that we currently have as affordable housing? Do we know what that is about? I thought I read it was 200,000, but is that not true? Do we know? Or is it, I don't know, where do we get that number from?
Nick,
I
you did
don't
some work
believe there's
on
been
that.
any representation that any of this is affordable housing.
No, I said in the 2.4% that we currently have in our village of affordable housing, I'm asking what that dollar amount threshold is. Does anyone know?
Nick, you did some research, no?
According to IDA, I sent out the attachment, so, and it is variable depending on how much debt a certain
Right.
person has, so the less debt they have, the number would be higher. The more
Do
debt they
we-
have, it's lower. But on average, for a family of four, they noted at about 266,000.
That's what I thought. So is that our threshold? So do we have 2.4% of our housing is under the 260,000, or is it a different number based on our community? That's what my question.
Go ahead, Nick, I'll wait.
No, I was just gonna say, these, and even this whole sheet that IDA puts out, I mean, it's noted that it's a rule of thumb. And as you drill down, so this is giving you data from Kane County, but as you drill down even deeper into our actual market, which would be Campton Hills, median income of 192,000, and you do your 80% of that and use their multiplier of 0.36, you'd end up at $427,000 would be affordable housing in this market.
Is that what it is?
That's what it would be.
420?
Part of the, I'm sorry, part of the formula, the half, this is the trouble with this statute. Half of the equation is based on the median household income for the statistical area, like all of Chicagoland, or the county, if that's unavailable. All right, so we're not talking about a household income of 200,000. We're talking about a household income of like 90,000 and then taking 80% of that. Okay, the other half of the equation is based on local. So our housing prices are local. So you can see how this equation gets skewed and how difficult it is for any community to start adding affordable housing to this. All right, so that's in the statute, so. I don't know what the figure is, but.
We don't know what's included in
Well, I
in our
mean, it would
community in
be.
that 2.4%?
In fact, I was trying to drill down and see if they use Kane County or if they use the whole metropolitan statistical area. Kane counties would probably be a little higher. Our household income would be much higher than Kane County.
Sure.
And certainly much higher than the Chicago area. But if they're using the Chicago area and you're using 80% of that, that's going to be a low figure.
Sure.
For affordable housing.
Okay, 'cause
So
I guess
that makes it, that's why we're at 2.4%,
Okay.
you know.
Because I guess my point earlier was in talking about, a goal that we have, I guess, to work with the state on that statute. If I knew what that 2.4% represented, then we could kind of see. Nick made a good point about some of the townhomes in the subdivision might help with that figure. So I was just trying to figure out if we had any statistics that would help me understand that. But it sounds like we may not. But we can try to talk about it another time.
I was looking when you sent your email this afternoon.
Yeah,
And I had to kind of revisit this, and actually I was looking for it before, but I never found, you know, what our threshold is, but it would be 80% for owner-occupied homes, 80% of the MSA or Kane County.
Okay, so my only point in bringing this up is the fact that up until now, we've been able to kind of keep, I mean, it really has been impractical for us to have affordable housing when you have well and septic. By the time you buy a lot and put your well and septic in, you're above sort of that threshold. And I'm just making sure that we are making, you know, that we're taking into consideration that now we have this new subdivision going in where that is no longer going to be an issue, so that we don't create a scenario down the road that we didn't address this housing issue. But I think you brought up a good comment that I'd like to discuss maybe more later, you know, further, that if the townhomes are actually gonna help with that statistic, then that's good news. And I think that's something that we should be addressing. Otherwise, I just want to make sure that when we are dealing with the state, that we're not opening a can of worms here that's going to be a problem down the road, that we address it now.
Well, and the mandate is there, and Jim Brown, we knew in June that we were starting to work on this at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we've told them that it's on our docket, and like a lot of communities that haven't completed it by June of '25, we've got it on the docket for January for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll make a recommendation to this body on a revision to the affordable housing plan of the village. And then you, as a board, will take that recommendation like you did the comp plan and make any revisions to that, and we'll submit that to Springfield. But there is no threat current or that I can envision in the future for any federal funding or state funding to be withheld to the village because we don't meet the 15, it used to be 10%, it's gonna go to 15%. So we'll become less compliant with the new.
Can I just ask if, Carmen, have you reviewed that, or do you agree with that we're not raising any kind of, we're not getting ourselves in any kind of a situation where we are opening ourselves up to any exposure that should be mitigating somehow, or that we should be addressing somehow?
Right, the statute requires a community to become in compliance with the requirements of the act. And the act requires that you either meet the minimum threshold or you have a plan providing various ways in which the community can, at some point, meet the threshold.
Okay.
And Administrator Rooney is correct. There's nothing that prevents the state from changing the threshold, which the state has discussed changing the threshold for some time and then did. There are several communities that were right on the brink of meeting the threshold for quite a long time with various different ways to increase affordable housing in their communities, and then the threshold was changed. The goalpost was changed, let's say. So, no, if there were a threat to the village losing funding or being ineligible for certain grants or anything like that, then it would be very difficult for any community, many communities, to consider and approve developments that were not affordable or didn't have much affordable units contained in them on the threat of losing state funding or federal funding, whatever it might be. So there are wide latitudes to what an Illinois municipality, whether home rule or non-home rule, can do to approve housing developments, even in light of this statute. But it's.
So as long as we have a plan in place, which
Right.
it sounds like we're working on in the January or so.
And the village does have a plan that was
Okay.
approved
James, yeah.
initially.
We're talking
You
about
just have
PUD.
to approve a revised or amended plan.
Okay.
Every so many years, which is what is being done now.
Right. So just to know, our current plan was approved in 2015.
Right.
So it's 10 years old.
Got
You're
it,
supposed to
okay.
renew it every 10 years. I wouldn't use the word expired, just say it's stale. Secondly, the state revised the Affordable Housing Act, 2022 or 2023. There's some new requirements that we don't have in our 2015 plan, obviously. But I want to note, the most recent non-exempt list was published in December 2023, and the communities, 44 communities on it, they were given this 18-month deadline to finish the plan. As of this afternoon, of the 44 communities, 13 have not submitted a plan, and I know
Okay.
certainly well that many of these communities have never submitted a plan. Of the ones that have submitted a plan, 12 were deemed, I may have miscounted, at least 12, 12 were not compliant. That is, they submitted a plan that's not compliant with the state statute. There's one plan currently under review. So here we are 2 years after the most recent list was published, non-exempt list, and 18 of the 44 communities have complied.
Okay. But it's our goal to
So-
get in compliance
so
and,
it's-
yeah, at least get a
And
plan
we
together.
are working on it. We had
Get it updated
communication
and, yeah, okay.
in September with IDA, and they understand that we're working on, there's other things going on, so.
All right, thank
Thank you,
you.
James. Janet, go ahead. You were next.
Gosh, it seems like this entire PUD is infested with boogeymen, because every time I turn around, somebody's raising another boogeyman that doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about. Affordable housing is important, and the village has been out of compliance as far as the state is concerned for a very long time. I first became aware of the extent of this issue because former President Patsy Smith brought it up to me. And she pointed out that, the people that you might think need affordable housing in the village of Campton Hills are not the typical suspects, right? So it's not necessarily somebody moving from somewhere further east or something, someone who's trying to move from a Section 8 apartment into something a little better or whatever. I mean, there certainly are lots of different use cases, but the perspective that Patsy Smith brought to me is that you can age out of your house in this community and wonder how you can afford to stay. You can become divorced in this community and wonder how you can stay. You can become widowed in this community and wonder how you can stay. You can wonder how it is that your adult children can afford to live in the community that they grew up in. So there are significant concerns with what affordable housing means in Campton Hills. None of them have anything to do with this PUD. And so while I appreciate the discussion, and I hope that we can have a more fulsome discussion about the issue at some point in the future, right now today, the business on the table is to approve or not approve this PUD, and I am calling the question.
Okay. I have to get a second.
Sure,
Second?
Can I just make one brief comment?
Who
Just a
seconded?
few words. The village, as long as the village has a plan, it's in compliance with the act. It's just that the village is on the non-exempt list. So I agree with everything you said. That is the crux of the reason for the act. But, yeah.
Okay, everybody ready to vote? Then, okay, roll call.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Good discussion, too. Okay, we'll move on. Moving on to C, motion to approve ordinance 25-40, approving an annexation agreement for 5 North, 428 Brown Road. It says St. Charles, and,
So moved.
all right. In the village of Campton
Well, it's not,
Hills.
though.
Correct.
It's not. So that's important.
I get it, okay. Okay, so moved by Janet and second.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Yes. Therese?
I guess I kind of want to reiterate my comment about combining those two lots. And my only point in that was, I know that there was did you talk to, Carmen, did you bring that up? Did they not want to do that?
Oh,
It's spoken to
Oh.
Mr. Brown, and I think the applicant's here too.
And in fact, the applicant's here. He
Okay.
did speak at the Planning and Zoning Commission. We covered that. He addressed that issue, and I talked to him a week or so ago, before, it seems longer with Thanksgiving, I guess it was only a week. And he, again, went through his reasons. He's here to
Oh.
discuss it now, if you
Okay.
want to hear from him.
Yeah, I guess,
think there are valid reasons. It is we do consider this a zoning lot, so,
But being
and I
co-
understand there's always a danger that it could be sold off, and then you have a non-conforming situation, but.
yeah, I mean, it would, and I welcome your explanation. But it seems to me that with that accommodation, combining the lot then would ensure that that lot is not sold off with that non-compliance issue by itself without a house attached to it. So maybe you could explain why, you don't want to combine the two lots?
Sure. My name is Chris Turca. And so I guess the first thing worth noting was in the meeting minutes, our Attorney Carmen did mention and provided some clarification with the zoning lot. So as Jim mentioned, my personal reason for doing that is that I'm raising my family here, right? And we have 2 PIN numbers. It's a significant piece of property. It's almost 9 acres. The way I see it is there's a reasonable possibility that one of my kids will want to build a house. And, you know, I have 1 in 3 chance, right? That one will actually want to stay close to their parents. So having that as a separate lot and then potentially, you know, formally subdividing it or whatever the process is to do that is reason enough for me to want to maintain that. The only reason somebody would, to my way of thinking, buy the lot would be to build a house on it. And so having a secondary structure, which there already is a secondary structure, so it's already a non-conforming lot, would be to build a house and then, you know, do that. So I personally don't really see much of a risk of a non-conforming lot, you know, being created through this process, especially since both pins are under my ownership, and this structure would be faced in a way that it's serving the house. So it really wouldn't behoove me to try and separate it and sell it and do something like that.
Chris, tell us the ages of your children, too.
I have a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
There you go. So he's got young children.
I've got no problem with anything else on it at all, and that isn't even a big problem. I just think that if we're making the accommodation, I would recommend that we make it a lot. But that is going to be up to the entire board to decide. I don't think it's too much of an ask, and I think at some point if you decide to break the property up for your children, you've got 3 kids, you're not going to break it up into 2 spots probably, or 2 lots. You might break it into 3, and we can address that at that time.
Yeah, and my way of thinking is that I don't know what the zoning laws are going to be in 25 years, right? So if it's 2 separate lots right now, and we can maintain it as 2 separate lots, then, you know, I would prefer to do that. That was the intention of going into this, and the intention of annexing in, and not building a barn in my front yard along the property line, you know, chopping down the trees, going Mr. T on everything. It was to put everything over here and make it look nice, and, you know, and preserve the arrangement that I have currently. I feel like that's a reasonable compromise.
Janet, go ahead.
You seem far too young to understand the Mr. T situation. I would really like to get behind the notion that you're bringing to us, but I support Trustee Hassensberger on this. To me, you're either in or you're out, and I don't understand why, for us as a village, we would want to keep these as 2 separate pins. As Trustee Hassensberger well said, if you would like to subdivide it later, it's quite likely that you can. I mean, we're just in the midst, in this last couple of weeks, of doing a similar subdivision of a 10-acre plot in another part of the village. So I understand your concern that perhaps in the future, you know, the zoning laws might change, although it's hard for me to imagine how it would change relative to this type of a subdivision. I hope that your desire that one of your children might want to share that property is realized. But statistically, the chances are it's not going to be. And so for us as a municipality, I don't see an upside to keeping these pins separate.
Well, I guess the way I see it is that the upside would be the annexation, right? So this is an odd lot that kind of pops out. My other option for building the structure is to do it in the front yard of the portion that is in unincorporated King County. And I could build a 90 by 20 barn on the side of the, 20 feet off the road line, chop all the trees down, paint it orange, put purple polka dots on it, and
Probably not.
I would have to ask the permission of nobody in this room, right? So
Nobody in this room, but you still have to ask permission.
Well, it would be a Kane County thing, but.
It
what-
would,
what-
and
you
their
understand what I'm
zoning
trying to-
code
what
is
I'm trying
actually
to
more
get at.
restrictive than it used to be, so, yeah.
So what I feel like is a reasonable compromise is annexation of this peculiar carve-out into the village, excuse me, into the village, maintaining that which I have, and being able to build the structure that I'm looking to build.
Yeah, Frank, go ahead. and
So
then
just a
Mike.
quick question, have you
Yeah.
researched the real estate tax implications of combining the lots versus leaving them separate? And if you have, what are the results?
I have not.
Okay.
Right, I
Mike?
mean, the combined tax right now is, is consistent. It's seemingly consistent with other lots of similar size. So,
Mike, go ahead.
I guess I'm getting jaded in my old age. I think younger me would have been in that camp that I want it to be perfect, and I want it to fit the way in my mind it should, but older me is to the point now where we've got non-conforming lots, we've got lots of record, we have zoning lots, we have lots of things, I did that. In there, I think the compromise is what I'm looking for, and I like the compromise as presented by petitioner. There could be 14, 15, 16 different things that could potentially go. But I like cleaning up I guess I like cleaning up the donut hole more than I'm concerned about it having to be one particular pin and zoning lot, so I'm okay with it.
You're good with it, okay. Anybody else? Kim, go ahead.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the property west is all wetland, right?
So it's all wet, yeah, basically to the north primarily. So it falls off a hill.
Okay.
And then it goes into the slough. And yeah, so it's not really buildable back there.
Right, okay. So, I mean, it's not like you're gonna be putting potentially you might not have all 3 kids living there.
No, it's gonna be who pulls the short straw.
All right. No, I just wanted to point out that there's definitely wetland considerations there, so I just want to make sure. Thanks.
There is, yeah.
Can I ask which lot you were talking about that's got the wetland? Is it the one that's in the village currently or the one that's being annexed in?
Don't they both?
They both,
Yeah.
Both do.
So it runs along Brown Road, and then
One's in, one's out.
this is kind of right where it turns, right next to the Western Trail. And so to the northwest, it falls off the hill, and then they both go into the wetland.
I
So
think that,
this-
once again, kind of makes sense to combine this lot.
it
But I
does.
think it makes a lot, I kind of don't like the argument that you made that I could put up a purple house with I think that seemed a little bit argumentative here,
Well,
to
I mean,
suggest
the
that you could
origin-
just,
well,
you
I
said I wouldn't need to ask any of your permissions. Kane County's not a no man's land. It has still got rules and they still have standards. And I think, I don't like the idea of it being easily sold off I think we've made a pretty big concession here, where we had to go through several meetings to come to this decision. And it is non-conforming, it is something that we wouldn't normally do, and I think in return, we're just asking for, I think, an accommodation on our end to say, combine it into one lot, that way it is one lot, we are guaranteed it's one lot, you aren't gonna sell off one part of it, and we're gonna be dealing with it down the road. If you do decide to subdivide it at some point, we'll address it at that point. That's just my feeling. I feel even stronger now about it being combined as one lot.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, so in support of the commission, or the petitioner, and you almost lost me with the polka dot garage and that you could go to Kane County. I will admit, you almost lost me. Because I did take it as a bit argumentative as well,
I
but.
apologize for that. It wasn't
Sure.
my intent to be argumentative.
I know what you were getting at, I understand, but I guess, in your defense, the detached building is facing your home, you're bringing in this circle drive. I mean, I think there's very little risk for the village that you're going to sell off this other lot. I mean, you're really, I mean, it's part of your home. The plans I saw, circle driveway, the detached building faces, it's pretty close to the house, it just happens to be on this other lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, for you to sell off this lot with this building on it, with the garage facing your house and the driveway going into your driveway, it just doesn't even make any sense. So, yeah, I'm okay. I definitely understand why there's value in putting the two lots together. I just feel like in this scenario, there's like very little to any risk of that.
I feel like that makes our point, that that there's no risk then to making him combine the two into one lot. So we're doing, I don't like the precedent that this sets, to be honest. I just
Well,
don't.
he can't have his accessory building on the lot, because to build the accessory building, you have to have a home on the same property. And that's the idea.
So,
If they're combined, that's right. So all he's trying to do is put the accessory building on the lot
No.
next door to him.
yeah, I know what he's trying to do,
but you
and
can't do
I'm
that.
just disagreeing and saying I think it should be one lot then, and that should be the part of the accommodation.
So the variation is actually,
Well,
is
yeah.
also for the fact that the structure is in the front yard. So if the parcels were consolidated, which would first require annexation into the village before they can be consolidated, the village can't consolidate a parcel that's outside of the village into one that's in the village. If that is still considered the front yard, and that's where the location of the accessory structure is going to be, you're still gonna need the variation, so. It is in the secondary lot, but the secondary lot is in the village, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, that's.
But it's not the front yard, right?
It technically is.
Again, when we look at this as a zoning lot, and you
Right.
take both of the pins, the
Right.
zoning lot, it's in the front yard.
It is in the front
That's how
yard.
we got it.
Right.
All right, anybody else? Frank, go ahead.
I'm in the camp of the jaded group, and the community wants us to remain an open space, open area, and I think we should leave it alone. So, leave it the way it is. That's my opinion.
Okay, Janet?
Preserving open spaces and subdivision don't go together. So, two lots are smaller spaces than one lot. So if you if you want open space, you want bigger spaces, you want one big lot, not two smaller lots.
I'll rephrase, not open space, over-regulation versus under-regulation, and I feel we're maybe over-regulating, and I'll be against that, because I think the community is against that.
So just one final point, the lot that is in the village, where the accessory structure is being constructed, is, that is a residentially zoned lot. So even if if the structure is constructed there, if it were to be sold off, that parcel were to be sold off, the uses that would legally be allowed within that structure would only be quote-unquote residential uses. So if someone did build a home on that lot, it would be considered an accessory structure to the residential structure that was on that parcel. It's not as if someone could come in and legally, in the village, start running a landscape business out of that structure, operate a business out of that structure, only residential uses. So
So-
even though there is no residence there, only residential uses could be,
So-
And
could be
I'll
performed there.
vouch for Chris, you know, there is a big drop-off in the back, so it's not like over time, there's going to be 2 or 3 houses built on that lot. Yeah, I think it just combines, it's next to his home, so it just makes his whole property just larger. And, you know, in the future, I think is what you want to do is put your accessory building there, correct? So,
So just, you know, I'm sorry, I had my hand up, but go ahead, take Janet, go ahead.
President Winnicki, everything that you said sounds like you're imagining that it's like one property. He wants to enlarge his property, and I think we all agree he wants to enlarge his property. And I am as adamantly against, you know, over-regulation in this village as anybody. I've joined with Trustee Benetti and Trustee Boatner multiple times on these types of issues. But this is not regulation. This is a privilege. You're asking us to grant a privilege. And so whether we say yes or no has nothing to do with regulation. It's a yes or no that we choose to grant. And so I have not heard anything that makes it sound to me like there's an advantage to the village to allow these lots to remain separate. And so I think Trustee Hussensberger has made reasonable arguments. I think President Winnicki inadvertently supported those arguments. And so while I respect the, you know, the practicality argument that's been made by others, I don't understand why we're talking about this. If you want to bring both lots into the village, I don't understand why we're not combining them into one lot. If these were 2 separate lots within our jurisdiction to begin with, and we were only talking about a variation on one of them, it would be different. But that's not what this is. We're annexing a lot into the village. We're going to be, you know, doing a variation, it sounds like, regardless, because we're going to end up with a barn in the front yard regardless. So I'm with Trustee Hussensberger on this.
Mike, go ahead.
The one thing I remember, if we go back to the beginning of getting started in the village, my personal experiences I've mentioned many times was people that weren't close to property, making decisions about the property when we had to go to county for zoning. So Commissioner Anderson, who's the one that lives closest to this on our PCZA, doesn't have a problem with it. So I would defer to that same rationale as I had before, that if the absolute, you know, what's that phrase? Don't let the perfect get in the way of the right, or what's the phrase? The good. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I mean, again, it would be nice to be one pin. Petitioner doesn't want to do it that way. He's asking for something. This is the ask. And we got a unanimous recommendation out of Plan Commission, so I don't see any particular reason to overturn them on this, and I would call the question with that.
Okay. Yeah, question's called. I'm sorry, Mike called the question. All right, we ready to vote then?
And we have to.
Like clarity on what the question.
The first ordinance that is up for approval, review and approval, is the annexation agreement between the petitioner and the village.
So it's 7C.
Correct.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
I just want to be clear what I'm voting on. We're voting to allow the annexation, correct?
No, so there's a three-step process. The first is the approval of the annexation agreement.
Right.
Which lays out the terms for which the property will then be annexed into the village, which is the second ordinance, and the consideration and approval of the variation.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Hatzenberger?
Explain that again, Carmen. What is different than, are we approving it without requiring one lot?
Correct. So the annexation agreement is the first ordinance.
Okay.
Thinking back to the way that the Shodine project was, the approvals were performed, you approve the agreement first,
Okay.
which
Which
speaks
wouldn't-
about
which doesn't have
what-
this in it,
which
okay.
what party is, their obligations are, one of which is that the village, immediately after approving the annexation agreement ordinance, annexes the property into the village.
Okay.
And we're talking about the parcel that has the home on it right now. And then also within the annexation agreement, it does talk about the application for the variation as well, upon annexation.
But if I agree now, it means that I'm agreeing to letting go of the issue of combining the two lots.
The agreement, so the agreement and the annexation don't say anything about the consolidation of the property. Each individual trustee can vote however, which way they want on any of the ordinances. It's just indicated in the agreement that the village agrees to annex in the property.
Okay. I'm going to say then nay, only because I really want that condition in, and that's the only reason. Otherwise, I have absolutely no problem with any of it. With him coming in, putting the structure in the front, I just think that, I don't like the idea of it staying as two separate properties, one that could be sold off. And I'm also thinking if it is sold off at some point, there's this representation that this is a lot with this front structure, and there might be the thought that we've approved this, that we've approved it without a house on it, and someone, I don't know, I think it just creates a lot of confusion, and I think it's very easily solved by creating one lot.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Now we'll go to 7D, motion to approve ordinance 25-41,
So moved.
annexing certain property into the village of Campton Hills. Moved by Mike,
Second?
second by Nick. Discussion? Janet?
Same question for Attorney Forte. Does this ordinance speak at all to whether these pins remain separate or not?
It has no reference to it because it only speaks to the one parcel that's being annexed into the village.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Kim?
Something I wanted to say on the last one.
Okay.
So annexing this property by getting an actual residence into the property, we just added a little bit of money to our MFT fund, yes?
Yes.
There you go.
Good thinking. Oh, wait, are we ready for a roll call? Any other comments? Okay, roll call, Trace.
Trustee
And
Millet?
and LGDF, which is bigger.
Okay, we have roll call.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hatzenberger?
Nay.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Let's see.
Move to approve ordinance 25-42.
Okay, approving a variation to allow construction of an accessory structure in a front yard on a parcel located between 5 North 428 and 5 North 476 Brown Road. Could I have a motion? Oh, we have one by Mike.
was my motion.
Second by Frank. Okay, discussion? Janet?
I would ask again for Attorney Forte to clarify for us. We are approving the variation to construct the barn on what is technically the front yard on what is the, relatively speaking, rear parcel. Is that right?
Not rear.
It's really still front.
Well, the secondary parcel, let's call it that.
Right, so the variation is to approve the accessory structure in what is considered a front yard.
And have any of these three spoken to the separateness or not of the two pins?
They don't, but the condition of the variation was to require annexation of the parcel that has the residence on it into the village. And that was actually something that was discussed with the applicant via staff prior to even applying.
Independent of whether there are one or two pins?
Correct. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready for a roll call?
Okay.
Okay, Tracy?
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Nay.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
All right, building code update. Okay, we'll go on to discussion item, the building code update. And Seth, that's your,
Is this still on?
No.
Yeah. No?
Yes, it is. No, I'm kidding, it is.
Mike, come on, man. Well, thanks for having me back again. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. All right, so just to get back up to speed, it's been a while since I've been here. It looks like there was an ordinance passed with the fee schedule updated, which included some language of some items that wouldn't require permits. And then it looks like it was amended again to add the electric vehicle charging to the fee schedule, correct? All right, so I just wanted to make sure I understood what was happening. And I do come in peace tonight. I'm not here to sway you anyway. I just wanted to let you know that, so far, the ordinance has remained the same. So I wanted to come and clarify my understanding of, just to make sure I get it right. So I want to put these exceptions to permits in your code and not just leave it in the fee schedule. So the code should also match the things that don't require permits. So I have the 13 items. I will try to be quick and brief. I'm not debating any of the items. I just want to make sure if they apply to residential and commercial, one or the other, and a couple to clarify. So are there any questions before I go through the items?
go ahead, Janet.
Just a comment that I would assume anything that applies to residential is going to apply to commercial, right?
They're two separate codes.
Of course they are, but anything, we may ask people in a commercial setting to do certain things that we won't ask residential, but not the other way around, right? In general.
Yes, yeah, most likely it's gonna all apply to residential. Some of it you may not wanna apply it to commercial, but that's kinda what I wanted to go through the items and run through real quick. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Seth.
All right, thank you, everybody. All right, so the first one is accessory structures less than or equal to 200 square feet, such as sheds, gazebos, and pergolas. Is that meant to apply to both residential and commercial properties?
Okay, anybody? Janet?
I think the intention was to provide the maximum possible relief to residential homeowners such that they did not find themselves in the position of feeling like they were criminals in their backyard. And I don't think we were looking to necessarily provide the same relief to business owners. I found myself on the wrong side of code provisions as a business owner. I didn't like it, but I understood it and I complied with it.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. If anyone disagrees, I'd like to hear.
All right, anybody else? Okay, go
All
ahead.
right, second item is deck board replacements, only with similar material. Again, is that both residential and commercial?
would say yes.
Okay. Driveways, overlay or resurface of existing driveway with similar materials. Residential or commercial, or both.
I say both.
We had,
Residential.
yeah, that would be
Strictly
residential only
residential?
because we have striping and curbs, signage, yeah. So that would be residential only.
Okay. See, it's good that I'm asking, right? Because you would have maybe exempted all these commercial properties. So, okay. Number 4, this one is clear because it says residential, non-structural, non-MEP demolitions. So that would be maybe removing a non-structural wall inside of a house, some minor things like that. It sounds like that was
Maybe
the
that
intent.
shed.
Or the shed, it could be, yeah. Well,
It was a joke, Seth.
okay. Yeah, my thought is if it requires a permit to put it up, usually you get a permit to take it down. All right, so that's residential, obviously. And then you've got the fence, pickets, panels, and post replacements with similar materials, residential and or commercial.
Well, I don't know, because we had said that the deck boards, that applied to commercial and to residential. This is really the same thing. I mean, if
I
the
agree.
fence already exists and you're just doing maintenance, I don't think commercial or
Same ratio.
residential needs to run down to Village Hall. So I think that would apply to both.
I agree.
That makes sense. I like it. All right, this one is also residential, interior remodel with no structural, mechanical, electrical, or plumbing changes or additions. That one makes sense, so that just remains residential. Next one is temporary above-ground pools less than 24 inches deep. That's the, inflatable kind of pools, the small little kiddie pools. Is that meant for residential and commercial, or just residential?
I say
Residential.
just residential.
Okay. Then we've got electric service / panel replacement, as long as it's the same amperage. So no change in electrical service size. Is that residential and commercial?
Residential.
Okay. All right, irrigation systems, component replacement of similar like residential and commercial?
Both. I would say both.
I think both. If you're replacing a sprinkler head or something.
I
whatever.
agree. All right, add a second layer of asphalt shingles for up to 2 layers maximum allowed on a structure. Is that just residential or both?
I think it is intended
It's
for
intended for
residential only,
residential.
but the commercial structures it's going to apply to probably used to be residential. It's like residences that have converted into businesses, and still, I think the same thing would apply for both. We're not talking about flat roofs, we're talking about shingled roofs. And when this is ever even going to come up, I don't know. No, I think it could be fine being both. That's completely different, yeah.
I guess it's both.
Okay. All right, replacement of siding, gutters, windows, doors of similar size and materials.
Residential, I'd say.
Yeah. Residential.
Yeah.
All right, this is going well. Generator replacement of the same size and amperage with no additional changes. Residential or commercial, or both.
Say residential.
I feel like the intention was to, again, to provide relief to residences, but the same logic applies to both. Does anyone disagree?
That's a long list.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I was thinking through it. I mean, it's just it's a replacement. It's swapping one for the same thing. I think both would be reasonable.
Okay. And last but not least, solar panels, just a panel or component replacement of the same type. Both residential and commercial, or one or the other.
Both.
It's just so
Kim is
basic,
right.
I don't think it mattered. I think both.
I think both too. Mm.
You guys did it. Congratulations. So we got through that pretty handily. So my intent was then to use that information to update the code language accordingly. And then once I get that updated, I can send it out so you guys can review it. Hopefully, you can get that updated, and then you'll have to vote on it taking effect. Somebody from the village will have to notify the state when it's going to take effect, and you have to give at least 30 days notice.
So if we
Yeah.
do this as an action item with amendments, adopting, could you explain that? We make the effective date, it'd have to be, instead of 1 January, was our original target, we'd have to make it 1 February, right?
Yes, and it's going to be pretty inconsequential. You don't get a lot of permit applications during the winter. That's why it makes sense to give some time. So yeah, if you put it at February 1st, that'd be plenty of time.
And can you explain what code we're adopting, the 2023 international
So,
with
yeah.
amendments?
So we're doing the 2024 international codes with the 2023 National Electrical Code with amendments, and we did go through, and hopefully most of you remember, there wasn't any significant changes to the amendments that you already had. We just cleaned it up, made some things more clear and enforceable. So you're adopting the latest edition of the published codes, which will put you in compliance with the state statute that requires all municipalities to be no older than 9 years of code edition. So right now, Campton Hills has been out of compliance in 2025 by having the 2012 codes adopted. So by doing this, you're going to be in compliance with state law as well for having more current codes.
And then the 2023 for electrical, because that is the most.
Yes, so the
What is it?
electrical code is published by a different company, essentially. NFPA publishes it, and they're on a different 3-year cycle.
Yep.
So it's always a year behind the building code edition.
But the plumbing,
Plumbing is a state law, that's just the current,
yes, right?
Yep.
So with amendments, you should be able to, with these changes that we agreed to tonight, you should have this ready for adoption on December 16th.
Yes, it's been in the same format for, several months, so the
Yep.
only changes are gonna be just adding these permit exemptions to each of the respective residential code and commercial building codes.
And then I believe separately, we're gonna have to adopt a new fee schedule because we did change some of the fees and that's not tied to, is
No,
that,
I
can
think
you make
did.
those
You
fee
already-
changes?
You just,
Yeah,
no, the fees are not part of the ordinance.
No.
That was one of the things that we cleaned up in there, is
Yes.
we took the fees out
Out.
so that you could change them independently of the
code, right?
adoption.
Right.
Yes.
So we're good.
Yeah, so you're good already on the fees,
Yep, and now we'll
and
just,
now you need to adopt the more current codes. That would be the next step, yeah.
so we're basically asking for direction to put the adoption of the 2024 international and with the 2023 electrical at the next board meeting for action. Is that clear with
Yes,
everybody?
I mean, it's clear to me, I hope it's clear to you guys. That's, absolutely. When is the next board meeting?
The 16th of December.
16th, so when would you need the,
The Thursday at noon
Okay.
before the 16th, so a week from this Thursday.
okay.
And we'll review this fee schedule that was just recently amended to make sure that everything that was discussed tonight matches what's in there, because there are some indications in the fee schedule that say no permit required, and it's prefaced by residential, some are not. So if there were changes that, based on the discussion tonight, we'll have to amend the fee schedule, which we can do pretty easily.
So I'm just saying, we might have an action item still on the fee schedule, I think, because of some of those intricacies that Carmen,
Just a couple.
just a couple,
The-
so.
the ones that
But
you
that'll
said-
be a separate motion,
Right.
separate from the international, because we've taken the fees out of the code.
I don't know which one's first.
Well,
We'll go Frank.
And I think we should look at it, because I think in fairness, we looked at this from a residential perspective when we did it, all categories. I think Seth pointed out some of the commercial stuff tonight that maybe we didn't totally consider. So I would say that we should look at the fee schedule, because in some cases, a commercial property is significantly larger or a little bit more complicated than a residential property. So we should look at that fee schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth looking at again, just to make sure that you kind of separate those in your head when you're looking through the items. Essentially, there were permit exemptions already in the proposed code adoption. These are gonna be additional exceptions to your code adoption. So everything that's not exempt from a permit thereby requires a permit. So, except for minor repairs, and those are the exemptions that are already in the code adoption language, so it shouldn't, like, me going through this should have made it clear which ones are residential and commercial, but it's a fair exercise to go through again, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. I just don't want you to overthink it. I think you're fine, but I just don't want you to overthink it.
There'll be 3 items, though. The electrical, the international, and then the fee schedule for next meeting.
So
No, Janet was next. Go ahead.
I just want to separate the permit requirements from the fee schedule. What we just talked about moments ago was effectively limiting the permit exceptions for commercial, because we had already come up with a list of permit exceptions that applied to residential and maybe or maybe not commercial. And so we've limited to a very few cases the exceptions that apply to commercial, right? And so
Yes.
in terms of what we expect permits for under the commercial code, we're pretty much still all in on that, right? So as written, with very few exceptions, just a
Right.
couple that we talked about tonight, right? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
I want to clarify. And then the separate issue that trustee Benetti brought up is the fees. So, for example, we said that you can replace your deck with same or similar materials, whether you're residential or commercial. But that commercial deck might have a different fee, right? Trustee Benetti, is that the notion? That commercial deck might be larger, it may have more people on it, may have different structural requirements, think about Chicago.
Like
Yeah.
Square
Problems.
Ale or something.
Right, and so
yeah.
that commercial deck,
That's a good point.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a really good point.
so that commercial deck may have significantly greater fees associated with inspections than, the deck on the back of my house or yours.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. Yeah, for example, like the permits required for decks, it's a $200 plan review fee, which might be fine for residential, but may not cover the commercial cost.
The structural review and everything for a commercial deck, right?
Yeah, right.
So I think trustee Benetti was on target, suggesting not so much.
What's
and
exempt?
What is
or
or isn't
what-
exempt,
yeah.
but how the fees might vary
Okay.
and that's not your problem, really, that's our
Yeah,
problem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Right, and so I'm I'm just wanting to incorporate permit exceptions into the code. The fees are, again, completely separate and totally up to you folks to determine. And yeah, maybe Frank, that's what you meant about the fees, so if I didn't catch that, I
Yeah,
apologize.
I also wanted to clarify a couple of other things. Little knowledge is a dangerous thing, but I attended a seminar at IML in September, and we went into quite a lot of detail on these issues. They've been harping on us for years now, municipalities generally, to update your codes.
Sure.
Right? This has been an ongoing theme.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so there's three things that come to mind, just for general information, don't necessarily change our decisions here. One is that no municipality in the state of Illinois is required to have a building code,
Correct.
right? That sounded kind of shocking, but you don't have to have a building code in the state of Illinois. You look as shocked as anybody. You know, so.
There's still protections in
There
place.
are definitely
Yes.
protections in place, but you don't have a building code.
Correct, you don't have
So
to,
what
yes.
that means is that if you don't have a building code, or if your building code is out of compliance with the state of Illinois, you are now automatically subject to the most recent, most stringent versions of the code without any exceptions or exemptions at all. So right now, today, because our code is so old, if anyone wanted to build a new building in Campton Hills, they are automatically subject to the most recent, most stringent codes, no matter what our local code says. So that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to pass our code the way that we want it, because otherwise you get their version of the
Right.
code. There's some interesting weirdities to all of this, because if you don't have a valid code, one of the things that you can do is you and your builder can agree to accept any code you want of any municipality within 100 miles of where you're building.
Yes.
Do we know why? No, the guy from the Capital Development Board did not know why either, but he assured us
Yeah.
that that was the case. So just for, points of information. Other two things I learned is that the electric code is not part of the building code, and the state of Illinois doesn't really include the electric code at all in their building code specifications.
No.
So that's really kind of between you and your builder and your insurer to some extent, right? And then, even more than the electric code, the Capital Development Board will not even talk to you about the plumbing code.
Correct, yeah. Totally
Right.
separate entity.
They will refer you to the health department,
IDPH, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, so I think we're all back on 2015 plumbing code now, is that correct? Yeah. So, I think it's good that we're adopting a 2023 electric code, but the state doesn't care whether we do or whether we don't.
True. Yeah, they just care if you do that it's more current, right? Yeah. Well, can I just say, without trying to sound silly, I'm very proud of you for getting that information. That's a lot more than most people have knowledge about the state codes and what applies and how it applies. You did an excellent job of comprehending that and knowing what's going on. And that's sometimes it's hard for me to say that to people that don't deal with it or learn about it. So, yeah, I can appreciate what you took back from IML and was able to share with the group.
There were a lot of open mouths at that seminar.
I'm sure.
Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, Seth, so I know we talked about this before, we were talking about the international code.
Sure.
The latest is 2024?
Yes, that is the latest published code.
And how strict is that when it comes to sprinkler systems in residentials?
So, not to go down this road, it's exempt. It was required in the 2012. You guys took it out. It's required in the 24. You guys took it out.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're not.
Yeah, for
Right,
residential.
well, right, no, I'm talking residential, sorry. Sorry not to clarify. Residential
you
only, 'cause
said it.
commercial. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're not going too far forward, because we could go with, if I'm correct, the 2022?
You could probably go to the 2018 International Code,
No,
which
it's
would
18.
only get you another year before you're out of compliance. So then that would be the 21 code. But the 24 has now been published since 2023. So all of the reference material, training material, everything's available for the 24 codes. So I suggest, and that's why it's
As long as
written
we're
it is,
amending it,
yes.
we're okay?
Correct.
All right, I'm good then.
Okay. Any more discussion?
So we'll have 3 actions on the 16th.
Microphone.
We're good. Thank you, Seth, and
Thank you,
Alex
Seth.
and I will
Yeah.
be in contact.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to be back. Not that I don't want to see you guys again, but if you really need me to come back again, I'm happy to. So just let me know. Hopefully, you don't have to do this for another, 6, 7 more years once you adopt this code. So, all right, thanks everybody.
All
Have a
right,
good night.
thank you. Okay, keep moving on here, discussion items, Cassell software update. Bill, you're up. Yeah. You can have that, 'cause we need it. And you understand. Yeah.
Okay, Bill Paskey, Tech Committee Chair. Okay, at the last meeting, Clerk Johnson came to our meeting and did a presentation and showed us, and explained a lot about Cassell software. Thank you for that, by the way, Tracy. The last meeting I attended, we gave you a complete list of all the modules that Cassell has. We met with Tracy. We basically are proposing to go with the modules listed on this document. It's a 24-month contract. It's changing from a owned software system to a software as a service model. At this point, I've met with Mark and Tracy and a whole bunch of other people about the software. We've kind of prioritized those. And if you look at page 2 of this document, what we would be doing is accounts payable ACH functions within the software, business licenses, something called My Viewpoint. So that would allow all the department heads and people within the village to evaluate or review invoices as they came in, how they were docked inside of the GL accounts, and provide a much better workflow within the village. It does provide for payroll and direct deposit through the software. The number with Paychex was $1,500 a month. So this is, considerably cheaper. It does do state and federal filings. So if we have to do other filings, those would have to be done separately. It has a timesheet application called MyPay. That would allow the employees and everybody else to put their time into the application, and it'll track all of the vacation and benefit time inside of the application. So I think for your consideration, we're talking about a one-time fee, I think of $15,900, but it will basically double the cost of the software for the village in over the 2-year period. So, but again, you get all the functionality, as opposed to the current situation where you have to actually buy the software. So we've eliminated that component out of the budget, so you see it's a lot cheaper than what I presented originally. So, any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Bill?
Yeah.
I'm a very tough sell on the payroll part of this.
So am I.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, I know you are, because I know
Yeah.
you develop software for a living, and I know you would not touch a payroll module like for any amount of money at this point in your career, and nobody else does, and I don't know why these guys are. So
Can I address that, Janet, or?
Well,
Just wait.
definitely, but I just want to make sure I understand the numbers. So the one-time investment for payroll alone is $10,500. Is that correct? $8,100 plus 600 plus 1,800.
That's correct.
All right, so trying to make sure I understand this, because we're balancing this against a supposed $1,500 a month paycheck. And when I say supposed, I don't want to minimize your effort, right?
Thank you.
But who knows really what Paychex is going to charge us in the future, or how exactly that's been qualified with Paychex. So it's $10,500 one time to do payroll, and then it's, as I read this, it is $6,600 a year then after that.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the first year, it's going to be $17,100, approximately.
Yeah, so the.
Trust
so
my
the
head
an-
math,
The
you
annual,
know.
approximately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's correct.
So more or less what we were paying anyway in the first year. So, because at $1,500 a month, that's $18,000. So we're going to go through a conversion and changes and retraining and all of that to spend the same amount in the first year that we were already spending, if the $1,500 number is right. So there might be a savings in the second year, maybe.
Correct.
And so I'm not criticizing you, because I know you're not necessarily a big fan of these integrated payroll packages, but it's what we're looking at here today. So I got serious questions about payroll in general as part of Civic. I would like to do the APACH like a month ago if we could, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. How far back can you go? I know not at all. But, I mean, this is the very first thing that we should have done, is the ACH with the My Viewpoint and My AP workflow, because those are the things that are going to allow us to have multi-party approvals for payments, whether they're ACH or whether they're checks, in order to have the people signing, the signers actually approve the stuff. We need this My Viewpoint and My AP workflow.
So the workflow is really important here, because the workflow is, paper-based right now, and because we have a lot of part-time employees and part-time finance people and so on and so forth. So by automating the workflow, you'll get an increase in productivity.
This gives you better handoffs.
It gives you better handoffs. You can actually see the data. Instead of having it in a printout, they'll be able to see the data in the application. And, yeah.
So I look at these, at the ACH and the My Viewpoint and the workflow, and I see relatively small numbers that seem like they have significant upside, like productivity and other value upside associated with it. So, like for me, I'm a yes on the ACH. I'm a yes on My Viewpoint and My AP workflow. But then I drop down to payroll, and all of a sudden, we're spending way, way more money, and there's no cookies. Right? I mean, we get cookies and ice cream with these first few items, but by the time we get to payroll, we're just paying about the same money to make a conversion to something that does more or less what we already have.
Well, that's not true. So the payroll system here has a lot more workflow to it than what we're doing with Paychex right now, as I understand it. So each employee would log in, access their own time, be able to see their web-based accounts, and it funnels into the workflow to make everybody here more productive. So if you separate that out, which payroll is a big animal, but if you separate that payroll out, then a lot of the other stuff doesn't make sense.
How so? I can't imagine a single case in which that would be true, because, you know, so firstly, I'm pretty sure that you can add time and everything. Individual employees can add time through paychecks. That doesn't have to be done by an administrator or anything. You know, a time card functionality has existed in paychecks for as long as there's paychecks has existed. So, and whatever bells and whistles you do or don't have in payroll, I can't imagine even one single instance in which that would flow into any other workflow. How could it? How would it?
Yeah, so basically.
Okay, can you give me even one example?
Yeah, I'm gonna right now. So basically, the timesheet application flows into the MyView, so it allows all the other people to approve it. So if employee A puts in their timesheet, it goes to Mark for approval, or it goes to the chief for approval. So that automatically hits on payroll and automatically hits on benefits. So if we broke that off into paychecks and had a separate application, then somebody would have to get their fingers bloody typing in all that data into the application. So
No, not at all. It's just that they would have to approve two different places. Nobody has to get their fingers bloody because the person, the same person who enters in their time into payroll still enters into their time into paychecks. And the same person who approves it still approves it. It's just that they approve it in paychecks instead of approving it in Civic.
you're right, you could run dual systems. It's
But it's not dual work. Dual systems usually implies dual work. It's the same amount of work. It's just that the people doing the approving would be approving in different places. But the interesting part is that most of the My Workflow approval would be for things like payments, not approved by the same people who are approving payroll.
Look,
So-
I'm gonna, you know, I totally agree with you. What we did is we invited Tracy to come to the tech committee, and we had all the other volunteers at the tech committee. I walked into that meeting going, we're not doing this payroll thing, because I think it's such a complicated animal that paychecks can handle it, you know, a lot easier. But when you start to look at all the weird things that municipalities have to do and have to keep track of, this stuff is spot on. It's all web-based and it flows right into our Cassell system. So I came out of the meeting, and so did all the other people in the committee, on the committee, thinking that, you know, it's a better choice to go this direction than it is paychecks. And so, so from that perspective, that's why we put this forth. So I don't disagree that that paychecks would, you know, probably they do things for okay. So they do payroll for thousands and thousands of businesses. We just looked at the two different things, and we kind of felt that this would kind of be the better course for the village. And if you want to explore it more, then, you know, that's fine. I'm just telling you what we came up with.
I think Nick is next, and then Kim, and then we'll get over to Therese. Nick, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify, and
Sure.
Bill, Trustee Burson, I felt like you were saying that there wasn't a lot of savings, and when I'm looking at this is what I need clarification on. So it's like 17,100, no, your one-time investment of the 15.9, the 13, I think I added up, where was it, like 17?
Well,
Where's the-
59 is for everything, so it's 10.5
Yeah.
for payroll only.
So 15.9 is your one-time investment,
10.5.
but then 10.5. Yeah, you're right, because I got to break, let's skip that. But going forward, your annual fee for these is $6,600, right? For the payroll? Is that the extent?
Payroll and my time, right?
For the payroll and my time, and right now, we're paying like 18,000 a year, roughly. So there is a huge cost savings.
Yeah, but there's training on this proposal, and she was bundling, you know, and we were bundling that into the one-time
In year
setup
one.
fee in year one. So in
Yeah.
year two, that's where you would get the big savings.
Right, and I think year one, at some point I did the math, I came up with like 17 what? I don't know why. But it was less than the 18,000 in year
Right.
one, even with the training from their estimate. I mean,
It's cheaper to go with this software than it is Paychex, for sure.
okay. And no real disadvantage, I'm still trying to totally comprehend like the big disadvantage of it. It sounds like there's a lot of advantages. All the software is integrated, it all talks to each other, we're saving money.
I guess when you weigh the two out, right, you have the other villages run on this, right? And it does the workflow for them. So we don't have to argue about how this workflow works and how this process works.
Yeah.
This automates the workflow, and I know that here at Village Hall, we need that workflow. So when you added all those things up, it just felt, I think the whole committee thought that it was better to run with this application than it was to try to do a different one or a separate one with Paychex. So, again, walking into that meeting, I was spot on with Janet, because payroll, there's a lot to it. That's why it costs so much. That's why the training is so much. But we came out of the meeting, I think, everybody there, Trustee Muir was there, and we all kind of said, this is the approach that we think we should take.
And then depending on permissions, it's really just one login, one password. So depending on what your permissions are and what you have access to, you're going into one system now.
So actually what we've done over the last year and a half is we've upgraded the network here. We've got new servers here. We have security scans from the state. We have upgraded all the computers.
Yeah.
Everybody here is running the latest and greatest on the software. So Cassell can be on every single desktop, and it can also work at BNF Technical. So that'll speed up that whole processing thing that we had talked about. So if you combine that all together and having one software that runs all of that with user-based role permissions and things of that nature, we just thought it was the right way to go, so.
Kim, go ahead.
Okay, so let's clarify Paychex currently right now. It quite literally just cuts the checks. It does not have any of these other services that we're looking at adding in by doing my time and my pay. That will cut down, I can guarantee that will cut down the chief's time of everybody else's. It will cut down the chief's time dealing with payroll. So, I'm on board with the payroll modules, and I'm definitely on board with the, my viewpoint, because again, we can add the checks and balances for the checks, right? For the approval that needs to be done with that stuff, okay? So Paychex right now, the reason why that price is different is because we're not doing the things that we're looking to do with these payroll modules with Cassell. And having it all in one makes sense. Tying it into, a central directory for identity management, taking it to services and software, all good in my book, being an IT person, so.
Thanks for that, Kim, appreciate that. Can I make one more point?
Sure, go ahead, Bill.
So one of the things was that you'll notice that we pulled off the citizen portal off the modules. After reviewing that, the citizen portal is like a my account function. It really isn't designed for our purposes at this time. Since we've lowered a lot of the permitting issues, I don't think we're ready for that kind of functionality anyhow. So that was pulled off the table as well. Again, this is sort of like the next step. We're already paying Helping Hands to a certain number of hours per month, so they would be managing the project as we go into this new year. and the tech committee would, you know, kind of work with them to try to get it rolled out to everybody if you wanted to move forward. Okay?
Therese, did you have something? Yeah.
Nick pretty much covered what I was asking, but I was just saying, so in year 2, it's 6,600 versus the 18,000. And I was just going to see if Janet had a reason why she really prefers paychecks over this. Otherwise, it seems to me that going with a system that is integrated with the system that we've already got makes more sense. But if there's some like really big reason why Paychex does a much better job, or there's some other reason, I just would like to hear what that is. Otherwise, it seems to me like the decision would be to move over.
What's
One of the bigger issues that we haven't touched on, the chief knows, is the paid time off, the PTO tracking, comp time. This integrated system gives us an opportunity to get that done without paying for an extra module that's above and beyond what Paychex doesn't do that for us now. We have to pay additionally for that module with Paychex. We could achieve this in this integrated format, and that's why they kind of changed my opinion about staying with Paychex too.
And it's significantly cheaper. So is it am I correct that it's 6,600 then at starting year 2, at least according to the numbers we have here?
That's for the payroll part of it.
Right.
So right now, I mean, total, we've got about 115,000 into the application so far since its conception. Our burn rate is about 9,300, 9,400 a year. That's going to go up to 21,000. So it's going to be, so the budget, you know, it basically, you know, doubling that. So, but the functionality, the workflow that we would be gaining as a village, like, hey, this is how you put your time into your timesheet. This is how it's approved by the chief or by Mark. And by you putting your time into the portal, everything is tallied up.
Makes sense. I think it
So-
makes perfect sense. Thanks.
Chief, did you want to say anything?
Sounds wonderful to me.
Yeah.
I mean, just the two issues we have, I can't even tell you the amount of time, frustration that goes into earned hours for, it still hasn't been resolved. I mean, we're still dealing with it. Like, to have something that would document this, instead of someone putting something on a piece of paper that goes to someone else, that may transcribe numbers wrong, you know, it would be a huge benefit. I think another for me, and unless I miss this in this whole presentation, is invoices. I have an issue with invoice, so I get an invoice, I look at it, I say, yep, this is the invoice. I put the line item number on there, I initial it, I send it off to Michelle, and then I may look at my budget and be like, wait, why is my budget down, you know, $1,100? And then come to realize that maybe my number was misread or whatever it may be, but it's now coming out of different line items that it shouldn't be coming out of. So for me, those would be huge benefits.
So we call that routing. Right? So routing the workflow inside the application, and that's what this thing does really well. And kudos to Tracy for giving us all a demonstration on it, because it was kind of all hypothetical, and she's a whiz at it, so we're lucky there. So yeah.
One last comment, and then we'll move on.
I very much appreciate the challenges that Chief is trying to solve. It makes my head explode to hear talk about the PTO and earned time problems as if they could not and would not normally be solved within Paychex. This can be done within Paychex, we just aren't doing it. So to imagine that we can do great things with this Cassell payroll. I know you're not selling that, Bill, but
Maybe next year.
yeah, but there's this notion that if only we had Cassell payroll, we could do all these wonderful things. You can do every single thing with Paychex that you can do with Cassell. Cassell payroll offers 0 precisely zero capabilities that Paychex doesn't have. And so, I just don't see the compelling value here. It feels like an almost even trade because we don't even really know what's going to happen in the second year. And we have to go through a conversion. We have to get from here to there. That's never painless, you know, so, you know, if everyone else is okay with it, I guess so. But we've skipped over another one that's a pet peeve of mine, which is this business licenses thing. We don't even have business licenses in this town. And so we are proposing to spend $900 for training, $900 for setup, and $1,500 a year for a business license system in a town that doesn't even issue business licenses. And everyone here knows why we're proposing this, and it doesn't make any sense. The fact that we issue liquor licenses doesn't have anything to do with this business license issue. We're not issuing business licenses today. There's no proposal to issue business licenses anytime in the foreseeable future. And so I would really appreciate it if we could disentangle the business license issue from the liquor license issue, because they are not related at all. And I, well, they're not related, and I really think it's inappropriate for this business licenses package to be on this list.
We need business licenses. And this
Explain
is-
why.
Explain why, because we don't know who's coming and going in our businesses.
We have no business licenses. We don't issue business licenses in this town. What possible use could you have for a software package that monitors business licenses and enables business licenses when you don't actually have business licenses? And in fact, you do know the businesses that come and go in this town, because you can get a list from the state of Illinois any day you want. I think Patsy Smith has already provided it to you at least once. So, so enough of the boogeyman stuff. That's ridiculous.
I don't
That's
see
the
it
most
as a-
ridiculous thing I've heard tonight.
No, I
So
disagree,
can I-
totally.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Mhm.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah.
You can. So I was on the same side of that point of view. I didn't think we needed business licenses either. One of the components is that, you know, to start a business in Campton Hills, I think you need to have, you know, zoning approval, if I'm correct. Jim, am I correct?
Well, there's no way without a business license
There we
So,
go.
so what this thing does is so there's nothing in the software that tracks things so it tracks it all at the property level, the PIN number, the property ID number. So when you add the business licenses, it creates a transaction at the business level. So if you come in here and you start, you know, putting up a shed, and the next thing you know, we've got landscaping equipment, you can look into the database and actually see if they've got a certificate of zoning compliance. So it ties the data together.
We have no such document.
We ought to.
Agreed, but we don't.
Okay. So if you have a business and you issue a liquor license, this creates a transactional history. And it also ties the AR to the business. And so when you look at the property getting an invoice, and then this creates that business and that additional history on every business that you might have in town, liquor license or something else. So.
But there is no anything else. Okay, liquor and gaming. Same establishments.
We can take it off. So one of the things that I think, this is just me, thinking that we should do this coterminous, so that if we want to add a module, we don't get zinged. We have the prices here. So when we send the master service agreement over to the attorney for review, we could pull these off and add these on very, very easily over the 2-year period. So we don't want to be penalized by taking them off or adding them to this this portfolio of applications. So if you all decide that you don't want the businesses and you business part of this, we can easily take it off the agreement, so.
Go ahead, Nick, and then we'll wind this up.
Yep, just a quick one. So just to recap, the business license part of this would be used to track liquor license and gaming licenses. Right now, that would be the intention.
And yes, and the intention also is that some of our businesses are changing owners and people who are running the businesses, and we don't even know who they are. There's no way of us knowing unless we're visiting each business and,
What
you know, are
would,
being told.
what would be the reason that they would tell us that, like, without a business license? Like, if they didn't have to transfer a business license like it is right now, why would someone come in and tell them? And why would the village want to know, like, who owns the pizza shop?
Because they normally have gaming licenses and liquor licenses.
So for the transfer of the liquor licenses and
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
That doesn't go with the business, that's issued to the owner of the business?
They
Well,
have
what
to
if it was just pizza?
qualify. Yeah, they have to qualify.
What if it was just pizza and there was no liquor or gaming? Go back to your point you're trying to make. Why would the
Yeah.
village care?
Yeah, like what, I'm just trying to understand, because
What
right now
about
it
Dave
would
Cotter?
be
What would
liquor
we care
and
if he
gaming.
sold?
I can give you a scenario that happened to me. We had somebody who bought 40 acres of property, ran a landscape company, brought in, I think it was 200,000 tires and buried them in the 40 acres. And had we not taken names and phone numbers of that business, we would have never been able to track the person down. That happened in Minnesota, but certainly that history of that business is important to the village, for sure. So you may not need it now. We put it forth as a committee. We talked about this, and we thought since we have a limited use for it right now, and it can be expanded, if it creates more workflow and more history on some of the businesses in town, we thought it was a good idea. So can totally pull it off if you guys advocate not for it, so.
So it sounds more to me like we may have a need for business licenses, or at least a discussion on business licenses.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't feel like right now we need the business license module. That would be my thought.
So if you could give me some direction on that, we can, if you want us to pull that off or keep it on, if you'd let me know, we'll button this all up, get it over to Mark and the village attorney for a review on the master services agreement, so that they can review all the, cross the Ts and dot the Is. Then we could have it, you know, ready for approval at the next meeting if you wanted to.
So we kind of, President, we need to
Yeah.
do a kind of consensus of the board. If we're going to have the business license module, we have two that said no. We need to know if, kind of just where the sense is, so we can. Yeah.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
can we add it later?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so basically if we said, hey, we want business licenses in the village, we could add the module later if we needed to.
This is a snapshot in time. That's why
Yeah.
the previous
So-
meeting, I gave you that big, long list of all the modules.
Yeah.
Now, our sales rep changes those numbers pretty frequently, as you can imagine, but it's a snapshot in time. We would write the master service agreement, the sign some kind of documentation, and then if we run this, we run the ability to add these modules coterminous with our 2-year term,
Yeah.
then we can add them and take them off as we need to. And that gives us the flexibility of, if they come out 2 years from now and say, hey, the payroll module is $42,000 a year, then we want the right to be able to get rid of that, I would think, right? So,
Yeah, you've got very high flexibility on this project. So if we don't think we're ready for the business license, there's 2 or 3 people that got questions, we can just not do it now and build the case for it later and add it if we need to.
Well, if you want the business license, to me, the zoning, certificate of zoning compliance is even more important, because I know this person that did query the state, and we have 28 pages double-spaced of businesses in Campton Hills. And so, you know, I don't know what they're doing. So it would be nice to make sure that we don't have unruly business owners in the village, but that's your call to task, so.
That's right. Therese,
I know
one
you want to
last-
be, I know you
yeah.
want to be done with this, but how were we, when it was being discussed, how were we envisioning getting the data in to the system? So given that we don't have licenses, were we going to enter in all the businesses in town that we can get off of the same list that I know Patsy Smith is able to access? So how are we planning on populating this database of business licenses? Like, what were we going to do with it?
You have to register with the state of Illinois, and I think we can just get the list from the state of Illinois.
And we would enter it in?
Typically, when a municipality establishes a licensing program, they obtain the information that they can from a third-party source, send notification letters, and set a deadline to apply or provide information on an application to initiate a license.
And so our plan is to move forward with a business license at some point, or is that what we're going to talk about?
Well,
Okay.
it's, we have to get
Okay.
we have to get a consensus.
Okay.
Because apparently,
So
some of
if
the
I say-
trustees want, some of trustees don't.
I would say, so if I say no today, it's only because I don't think we've got a plan to do it today, but I would agree to it if we plan on doing it, if we agree as a board to do it down the road.
So right now,
I'd say no today, given that we don't have a plan to have licenses at this point.
I would go with that. Give me the plan on how we're gonna use it first. Tell me what the model is. Are we using it for certain businesses? Are we using it for all businesses, that type of thing?
Right now, the majority would be no on the business license today.
Okay, so we'll pull that off we'll pull that off the table and then resubmit at the next meeting. Could that be for an action item, or do you want to just, put that on for discussion again?
For what, for our next meeting?
Yeah.
It could be an action.
Yeah, we could do an action.
Okay.
But let's make sure we communicate to Carmen, and you've got Carmen's email, right?
Yes, I do. And there's a few things in the MSA that I wanted to communicate with you on, just to make sure that, that we have all the Ts crossed and Is dotted, but sure, yep, absolutely.
I mean, just to comment, just to host a raffle in one of our businesses, you have to have approval from the village to do that. And that's just, so we recognize what's going on in our own village. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much. I appreciate the direction, and we'll see you in a few weeks then. Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you, Bill. All right. Any additional items from president, trustees, attorney? No?
Can I
Okay,
ask-
oh, go ahead, Frank.
So can I just get a quick update, or can we all get a quick update on what's going on with Norton Lakes, the lot agreements? Are we close to getting those signed and turned over to them?
We have deeds prepared that have been signed by the village, and they'll go to the HOA probably tomorrow.
Okay.
I think the president was going to come here and sign them.
Okay.
That's what the.
Was he aware of that? Because he was been texting me nonstop about it, so.
His lawyer is not telling me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing was they still have a bunch of questions on sewer maintenance and all that other issue that they brought up months ago, and they at least just want a discussion on what the plan is for sewer maintenance in case they've got to pay for it and cover it and stuff. So can we have that discussion with them as well?
Yeah, I'll talk to you one-on-one afterwards to get a full understanding of what Chris is asking now.
Well, I think the issue is, it was a little vague as to who's responsible for some of the sewers on their property, and I think our position was that it's their responsibility. He would like some help on creating some kind of a maintenance structure or plan for those. So
Sanitary district.
that's why he's asking.
Is he talking about stormwater or sanitary?
I think stormwater.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, on the stormwater, I think he's not liking the fact that the way it's written is, if it's not in the, between the curb line and the curb line, it's theirs.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
I think he's just looking for some guidance on how to create kind of a maintenance for
plan.
stuff like that. So
All
he's
right.
looking for us to at least give him some ideas on
Okay.
what to do.
I'll give him a call tomorrow and talk about that and make sure his attorney's told him he needs to come sign.
All right, I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, motion to go into closed session. That's for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or contractors.
So moved.
Moved by Mai. We'll take, we won't have action when we come back out. And second by Frank. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.